Welcome to the Friday Power Lunch, a weekly show amplifying the voices of the Virginia Grassroots. Each week, we provide engaging conversations about politics, culture, and women making change. Produced by the unstoppable women of Network Nova, our motto is, when we vote, we win. The Friday Power Lunch is recorded before a live Zoom audience. Follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and show us some love and become a sponsor through Patreon. The Friday Power Lunch. Badass women getting things done.
So thank you for being here. I'm Catherine White. I'm the host, along with Fennell Norton over there. Give me a wave, and you don't have pink on. That's okay. You be you. You get kinky, and you just feel good and celebrate yourself. We're bringing the guests, the issues, the action, amplifying the voice of the grassroots to get things done, and yes, to make politics fun. So let's get to it. And before we get to it, I like to really make sure that we give credit where credit is due to where did we get this get up, speak up, and act up? Well, on the stage, we had a loud and proud segment with four wonderful delegates: Cia Price, Brianna Sewell, Kathy Trant, and Jackie Glass. And Cia just brought it at the end, and we want to share that little gift to you.
Just going to take one time because we have to close on an ask for action. And so as a pastor and preacher, I just claimed that. I am not a pastor yet. Stop. Okay, I'm sorry. As a preacher, I just want to close on Esther. Esther was cute. Esther was beautiful, and that's how Esther ended up in the palace. But that's not where the story ended. The story ended because Esther chose to get up, speak up, and act up. And that's how the people got saved. So we need you to understand, y'all look real cute in this room, but we need you to get up, okay? We cannot fight fascism from the sidelines. And then when you get there because you got up, we need you to speak up and use your voices because you have a voice for a reason. And then when you get there and you speak up, we need you to act up because manners will not save you. We have to fight fire with fire, and we have to fight hate with love, but we have to get up, speak up, act up. Let me hear you say it. Get up, speak up, act up, get up, speak up, act up. What are we going to do? Get up. You're going to tap into the work that gives your soul fire by get up, speak up, act up. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I got chills, right? Amazing. And that is what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to have to do. I love how she says that, you can't fight with manners what we're up against, right? We have to lead with love, as Sam Russell did say, but leading with love is harder. So our work is definitely not as easy as just going around and hating people. And so just want to get to it. I'm really excited about our guest lineup. I want to make sure that everybody knows that today we have Sharon Taylor here, but she's not here yet. Henrico's Commonwealth Attorney. She'll be popping in later. Also, Kelly Lawrence is supposed to be here. She is one of the members of Save Samuel. She won't be here, but I want to say a special hello to her, and we're thinking of her. So Kelsey, we'll see you around next time. But I do have some guests that are here to want to say a hi first. Lauren Victoria Burke, founder of Black Virginia News, journalist, podcaster, and general all-around badass. What do you say? Great to see you. I want to say hello. And how are we going to act up today?
How are we going to act up today? First off, Catherine and Stair and Fennell and Robin, excellent job at the summit. Excellent job at the summit. The summit was incredible. It was a really good job. And I go to a lot of events, I think, as we all do. But you guys should really be commended, or you gals should really be commended. It was fantastic. Very well played in terms of the networking opportunities and the time, and I thought it was excellent. It was fantastic. I just wanted to say that first off.
Means a lot. And so in the sense of we're going to be talking later, but just in general, I'm hoping we're going to speak up a lot about the media today and kind of dig around the media, what they can do in this election, and just your perspective and lens on on some of this historic stuff that's going on with these candidates and elections. So we're glad you're here.
Right.
And I think you're going to be a regular guest if you don't mind.
No problem. Absolutely.
All right, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, Dazzler, Bedazzler, good friend, Tammarrah Addison, bringing it, poet, author, educational consultant, and again, amazing storyteller. And I don't know if she has her sparkle eyeshadow on. Oh, there you are. Sparkle, unmute yourself, sparkler. I want to make sure we hear that gorgeous voice. And while you do,
hi guys, yes, I am here. Let's get up, act up, let's go.
Yeah, that was amazing. It gave me just goosebumps, and so did your performance on at the Power Jam. And I think that I'm hoping we have a recording of that, because we should send that around to every Democrat. Every committee needs to watch that as they, as their morning get out of bed.
Well, I appreciate it. Just as your last guest just stated, I just want to commend you women, first of all, for just giving a platform for all of us. I'm just so proud of you guys. Y'all just doing it. So yes, we're excited to do this, to get up, speak up, act up. With my degree in theater, I do it anyway. So let's go.
I love that. Well, we'll talk about that today. We're really excited. Glad you're here. And are you off for the summer, or what are you doing? Are you teaching, or are you just?
I'm a lifelong educator, so I'm always teaching, and I'm moving on to another district. But yes, I'm always teaching.
Yeah, and I know we have some great stuff to talk about that you really want to work with.
Yes.
Candidates and about storytelling. We want to do some storytelling with you. So that would be awesome. All right. So thank you, my friend. Good to see you again.
Yes,
yeah. And then last, but a very important guest, very special summit story. I love to introduce the audience to Jackie Masella. Jackie is here, and she is are you hi, Laura. I know you popped in, but I'm looking for Jackie. Maybe we can find her. She's somewhere in there. Hi, Laura. Laura's great. She's
always Kelsey.
I know. Oh, sorry, Kelsey.
Hi.
Jackie. Did I get people mixed up? Oh, I'm so sorry. Kelsey.
Hi.
Hi, Kelsey Lauren. So Save Samuels. We like to bring guests up to say a little hello. And so what are you going to be getting up and acting up today?
I'm so sorry. What was
are you going to be getting up and acting up with us today? How are you doing?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Well, you have a lot of people in the audience that are here to see you.
Yes, we were a very motivated group, and there's we're a community. It's more than just a Facebook group. It's a community.
Yeah, well, I want to let people know that we'll be talking to you, and I'm really excited that and I'm so sorry I got you all messed up.
Okay. It's all right, no worries.
But not really messed up in the sense of what you're doing. And people in this room, we know that public education's under attack.
Yes.
Libraries, and you are Save Samuels to save the library. And we'll be so excited to talk to you about that today. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Right. Super. Shame on me, as we say. Okay, we're back in the pocket. That means rules of the road, and we know what that means. Keep it real in the chat. We're going to keep it real today. There's some things we want to talk about, especially with our candidates, and are we running in every seat, and what the hell's going on with that? But I want you to keep it friendly and constructive. We like good information, but if you get really super negative against somebody, we'll kick your butt out. So please keep it full. And then the after chat, super exciting to get an after chat today, because LOUISA Boyarski of the Virginia Grassroots Coalition, and she's organizing coalitions all over the state. She's going to give us some great information about power packs. And I think the after chat, we're going to need some time to kind of, and I don't know if she can stay, but we need some time to just really get deep into how we're going to win this election, that strategy that we're going to be able to do. So stay after one if you can, and then support the show. Why not? Throw a couple dollars in our coffee cup. It really helps us keep the lights on. We really appreciate our patrons, and thank you for supporting us. So I already mentioned her name, LOUISA Boyarski, Grassroots wonderful lady. I have some great photos of you that I've just putting up on Facebook from the Friday night event. Are you still feeling the buzz of the fire alarm?
Oh, yes. Well, but more importantly, the buzz of the room. I mean, having those candidates from across the state show up and getting people so excited. This is going to be a big year. I've heard about some early polling for the Democrats, and we're looking good, everybody. But as we know, It's so important for Dems to have good field. We've got to be on doors. We've got to be talking to voters, and that's how we win. And so what I want to do is share with you our new strategy for this year's election. As you know, we've got the state Senate up, we've got the whole state House up, and we've got tons of local races. And it's a lot to take in. So the strategy that the Virginia Grassroots Coalition is using to get our heads wrapped around all these races, Catherine, is our power packs. And so I think Robin is going to pull up an example of a power pack so I can kind of walk you through it. This is an example of the Van Valkenburg Power Pack. What we're using is our Senate seats as sort of the hub of the network, so to say. And we are trying to make sure that when we are canvassing or we are phone banking or we're postcarding or fundraising, we're thinking about everybody who falls within that jurisdiction. So you will see on this image that Schuyler's race, which is SD 16, it's in Henrico County. It overlaps with 4 House races, which is the Willett race, the Gibson race, the Bowling race, and the Levy race, all of which are so important. But then you even see below that they're local candidates as well. And you'll get to hear from one, the Commonwealth attorney, later today on the Power Lunch. We want to make sure that our candidates are collaborating whenever possible. It's expensive to run a campaign. And so we want to make sure that if the Senate race has some resources, that it's going to help some of those House races and some of those local races as well. So you'll see that there's some opportunities for ways to get involved. I'm going to put links in the chat to the coalition's website, where if you're excited about a candidate or you're excited about a power pack, you can find opportunities to get involved. And we really encourage you to start doing it now. Now is the time that we want to be talking to voters. Now is the time we're going to be able to have more concrete conversations on the doors. I think we all know that as we get closer to November, people tend to get burnt out from the election, but now is the time for us to talk to them about the candidates that we really care about. So I want to encourage you. This is something that is critical. It's critical now, and it's going to be critical all the way through the finish line in November. We have a number of power packs, though, across the state. And so Robin's going to share another image with you where you can see some of the other important power packs that I wanted to highlight. I'm not going to talk about all of them today because let's spread the wealth, but the other 3 key Senate power packs, meaning the Senate seat is really critical for us to win so that we hold the blue majority in the Senate. So I already talked about Van Valkenburg in Henrico. The next one is Clint Jenkins. You've heard of him before. He is currently a delegate, but he's running for the State Senate 17 in Hampton Roads. He began his career working with churches, civic leagues, and community organizations. And he's, really been a great delegate. But he's in a toss-up seat with this new redistricting, and it's not going to be easy to win. His seat overlaps with 2 really critical House races, HD 82, which is the Kimberly Pope Adams race, and HD 28, which is Nadarius Clark's race. And one thing to highlight is that Clint Jenkins is really behind in fundraising. So if you're not able to go all the way down there and knock doors, please consider donating to his campaign and also some of those overlapping House races. It's really, really critical for us to win that Jenkins seat to be able to maintain a majority in the Senate. The next important Senate race I want to highlight is Senate District 24 with Monty Mason. He's in Hampton Roads, and he's a little bit north of the Jenkins seat. Monty Mason has been in service in the General Assembly since 2014, and he's done a lot of great work building the child welfare system, bringing offshore wind to Virginia, protecting seniors and serving veterans, to name a few. His is also a toss-up race because of redistricting. While Mason's fundraising is pretty solid right now, he really needs help with voter contact, and he overlaps with House District 71, Jessica Anderson's seat. And so if you have a chance to either, take a nice drive down to Williamsburg, that's a great place to launch out of or near for the Mason district. And if you can't make it all the way down there, contact the campaign and see if there are ways that you can help with either phone banking or with postcard writing. And then the last one I'll highlight for today is Power Pack Senate District 31 with Russet Perry in Loudoun County. Russet is a former CIA officer and former prosecutor in the Loudoun County Commonwealth Attorney's Office. She is fantastic, but also running in a toss-up race. The challenge is her opponent is a billionaire, and she needs help both with fundraising and with field and knocking doors. It's an easy district to get to if you're up in Northern Virginia. And she also overlaps with House District 30, Rob Bance. And that's another critical race for us to win in the House in order to hold the House or in order to flip the House blue. So those are just some of the power packs. You can learn so much more on the website. And I'm going to put links to upcoming campaign events, the locations of the other power packs, and additional info on each of those candidates. And then the last thing I want to share with you guys are just some options for action this weekend. On August 5th, there's a canvass for Russet Perry in Leesburg. Also, same day, there's door knocking for Jessica Anderson in House District 71. And also on Saturday, we have grassroots canvass launch for Josh Thomas in Manassas, another critical House seat that we need to flip. And then lastly, there's going to be some postcard writing in Arlington, Virginia, if you are so inclined on Sunday. So I will put those all in the chat. So Catherine, this is the strategy. We need to make sure that we are working up and down the ballot. We need to make sure that when we're going to help out these candidates and campaigns, we're talking about the other races that are happening in those jurisdictions, because we want to make sure that every time we talk to a voter, we are sharing about all of the important Democrats who are going to be on their ballot.
No, I think that's so important. And I know there was a question on the chat in the sense of when people go in the grassroots and look at the color coding, that somebody was talking about the purple and pink, people get freaked out that, so is there anything you'd like to tell about when people look at this, what they should be really looking at when they look at the color coding?
Yeah, so the color coding is based on data that we have about the number of Democrats who vote in those districts. And so if you see purple, that means it's a toss-up. That means this is a race that really is going to need some support, because it's 50-50 right now, whether a Democrat's going to win that or whether a Republican is going to win that. Then if you see on the blue spectrum, we have a little bit of a better chance, right? If it's light blue, it's leaning Democratic. If it's dark blue, we're probably solid there. We hopefully should not have to get involved to get our candidate over the finish line. And then on the other side, if you see light pink, that means it leans Republican. But I will say that because this is a year where we are getting support from outside of the state, there are going to be times in this cycle where I'm going to come on and I'm going to say, guys, we've got a lot of support for our purple candidates. I want us to move to light pink. I want us to start fighting in those districts and trying to get those folks over the finish line. And even if they don't win this year, what it does is it sets us up so well for the governor's race that's going to be coming up, and then, a couple years from now. So we definitely don't want to forget them.
You brought that up because I, get always a little frustrated when I see some of the seats, and we're going to talk about this later, that don't have somebody in them, or there's like 4 or 5 candidates that aren't on the ballot. And it's, what's important is that that we are present there for this election. So I know Fennell had some ideas how to still get out in those areas and speak to voters, because it's really important. If we still have a person that's not on the ballot, or, we could try to help some of them. I know there is still help, with Trudy Berry that's trying to get on the ballot, but there has to be a way that we are still contacting voters in this election, and we just don't cede that ground and stay quiet. Because like you said, next year and the year after, and just in general, it's good as we just practice this idea that we work together, we talk to voters, and we really make sure that we're showing up, getting up, they say get up, speak up, and act up. That's really important. So I agree. And when we saw the candidates come to the summit, I think they so appreciated needing that support. So
exactly. And I think that, so the best thing you can do is, if you're not already connected with some of these candidates, get in touch, sign up to be a volunteer, ask them how you can help. If you want to join the coalition, we are adopting power packs. So if you're like, man, I really want to get involved in this particular power pack, maybe it's in your neighborhood, maybe it's one that just really speaks to you, please feel free to get in touch with me. I can put you in touch with the other activists who have already adopted that power pack. We want to make sure that all of our groups are working together. So we are being strategic. If we're going to run a fundraiser, let's do it together. If we're going to do a grassroots weekend of action, let's do it together. And we're really excited because I have been working with a new coalition down in the Virginia Beach area, and we have 2 weekends of action that are going to be coming up at the end of September. It'll be September 30th through October 1 will be our first big weekend where I want everybody who's in this Zoom room to be coming down to the beach and helping knock on doors and talk to voters and getting people excited. And then the next one will be right at the end of October, taking us into that, final GOTV weekend. And we want to make sure they're going to be their first early voting weekend with their satellites open. That's when you can get on the door and just say, you can go vote now, vote now, so.
Well, the last thing I want to just, since I have you on the horn here, is that I really believe that we need this early vote campaign, vote one. I think one thing that came out of the summit that really stuck with me, Simon Rosenberg talked about, is Democrats voting on day one, making that a campaign around early vote. We've been pretty good in the grassroots trying to push it. We haven't in the general big party, not as great yet to really push it, but day one voting for Democrats, it clears the lane for then to outreach to other voters, lets us do more, get deeper into the voter file. So I think we need everybody in this room, start that campaign, tell all your friends, vote early, vote day one. And that starts September 23rd. Is that correct?
That's right. The only challenge with that, Catherine, is that in a lot of places, the only place that will be open is your government center. So if you are in a really big district, there might be some folks who are like, dude, I can't get all the way there. And we get that. So that's why in Virginia Beach, we're also going to be having that big weekend, October 28th, because that's when all of their satellites open. And that gives people a little bit more of an opportunity closer in to do that voting. But yes, I think we need to push vote early, vote day one if you can. And if you're not going to be able to vote day one, in person, why aren't you voting absentee? That's another big push that the Democratic Party is having this year, is this permanent absentee voting, making sure people are signing up so they are consistently getting those, ballots in the mail, because then all of a sudden it's a reminder, oh yeah, I'm supposed to vote. Right.
Brilliant. And we know that the Republican Party is love, they love early voting too now, it seems. So thank you, Louisa. And I'd like to bring up Fennell Norton, of course, because she's channeling some Ruth Bader Ginsburg today, I think. Where are you at, Fennell?
Yeah, here I am. You see me?
There you are. Yeah.
Yes, I am channeling her today because we need her today. But, we need her, but we got us. And I'm pretty satisfied with us today.
Well, I'm looking at the time. I think we need to get right to Lauren Burke. I was reading my clock wrong. We're supposed to be starting that segment with Lauren. Why don't we just call Lauren right in? Is that okay with you? Hey, Lauren.
Hey, great. How are you? How's it going? How you doing?
Good.
It's busy, as you know. Wow. Yesterday, as everyone knows, Donald Trump was arraigned yesterday, and I went to the courthouse and actually talked to a bunch of people, and then went to Don Byer's event later in the day, which Don Byer had a great event on, sort of giving a salute to Black candidates that were on the ballot. So it was Don Byer, Don Scott, and the special guest was Congresswoman McClellan. Fantastic event, but it was pretty amazing to walk from that, that scene that you saw on TV into that event in Alexandria. Amazing thing.
Oh yeah. So and Fennell, so I want to make sure, Fennell, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I love that story that Lauren just told about what it feels like from one to the other. But so which is kind of funny. But I think I in this moment I'm sort of channeling Simon. And so Simon, of course, at the summit, he got up to talk about his Hopium and Hopium Chronicles. And so this morning I am channeling Simon, and Simon says, there's just a couple of things that we should do every single day and I think we should do them for Virginia, but I think we should say Joe Biden is a good president. And so when you think about what Lauren just talked about with what happened at the courthouse yesterday, right, I think that we should remember that Joe Biden is a good president. And for all of those candidates thinking about what we're running on, what we're talking about, economic issues, I'm going to say this: the economy is still getting better. I had to go to Costco for my mom yesterday, and I want to tell you that I could hardly get in the door. So every time someone tells me, oh, I just don't know what's happening with the economy, I say, well, I don't know what's happening, but I can tell you that jobs are up for everyone. People are shopping, and we just got to keep on telling those stories.
Stories. Well, speaking of stories, let's talk about it, Lauren, in the sense of journalism and this election coverage. I know we talked at the other day. We are talking about this sort of where we are in this historic place with the amount of candidates. I mean, at Black Virginia News, you've been reporting on that, really elevating that news. Let's go there. Let's talk about what you're seeing, making history in this moment, and then some of these, as you call them, adjustments that aren't really maybe going on. There's a little disconnect. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, obviously we're at sort of a special moment, I would say a historic moment in this country. We have more women involved. Let's just talk about Virginia. So we have more women on the ballot and coming into the assembly than ever before, more Black people coming into the assembly than ever before. And shout out to Generation Z. There's a bunch of Generation Z candidates. Some of them won't win, but certainly Maureen Coffey, for example, just won. She's going to be the youngest person to be on the Arlington County board at 28 years old. But we have all these young people coming, and we have women, Black people, et cetera. And I'm amplifying that in Black Virginia News because I just think it doesn't get amplified enough by legacy media. And it's just a basic point of fact, to just sort of say again and again. But of course, with that elevation does come resistance from the other side, as I think we can all see. And of course, the media piece too, I think we have to be, I think the Democratic Party has to understand, of course, and I think everyone on this call is more involved than most people, is that we're dealing with lying, we're dealing with deliberate misinformation, disinformation, we're dealing with quote news organizations that are basically political entities masquerading as news organizations, such as the Sinclair station right here up here in Nova, WJLA. But there's so many others, of course, Fox News, and I think we have to adjust our strategy for that in a very huge way. I don't know that the party has really done that enough. There's kind of this sort of not recognizing that enough. But misinformation, disinformation, as everybody on here knows, is a huge, huge issue.
What would that adjustment look like? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
put me on the spot. I mean, I think it's sort of an aggressive statement of calling a thing and saying a lie is a lie. You remember that there was a whole big wrapping around the axle about Donald Trump when he first came around in 2016 of should we call him a liar? Should we not call him a liar? And then, of course, we find out that Russia, there was all sorts of misinformation, disinformation that interfered with Hillary's campaign. And of course, she ends up losing. I mean, it had a real effect. And, that was 2016, 2017. It seems like we should figure out how to deal with that at some point. But part of it is calling it out. That is the media's fault. A lot of that is the fault of the media. That is, of course, making money off of Donald Trump. And of course, the problem there is, as Les Moonves actually said the quiet part out loud on that, is that they are making money off the clicks, off of the view count, off of someone like Donald Trump. So you have that issue going on. But as a political party, you have to sort of be very strategic about your messaging and very united in a way that I think the Democrats have a hard time with about messaging.
Yeah, no, I'm that's really a good point. I mean, I just was watching MSNBC the other morning. It made me really frustrated because it's still this both siderism or this equating of the two. And I'm like, dude, it's like they're not equal. And like this guy, this is all this shit that happened. And then they're like, oh, Hunter Biden's laptop. And you're like,
Right. That's a big look at the squirrel. That's the Benghazi strategy. You just change the subject into something else, or do what they did with Terry in 2021. You don't want parents involved in their education. You just create this straw man and just keep repeating it over and over. They have the media apparatus to repeat it over and over and get people to believe it. And, I spent actually a interesting amount of time yesterday talking to a bunch of MAGA Republicans from Long Island, because I grew up on Long Island. My mother's from Virginia, but half my family's from New York. And so I'm talking to these guys, and it's just, they believe it. They believe whatever they're told, and whatever they hear, they see that as fact, as we know from Jan 6, 2021.
Yeah.
And it's scary to watch.
So yeah, I wanted to jump in on Lauren's point there, because I think this is really critical, which is why this grassroots audience is so important, because we have to amplify the messaging. And I think it's important because sometimes you have to go out and search, because the way the algorithms work, sometimes stuff doesn't get pushed. But when we're talking about messaging or early voting or vote the first day, or we have to put those messages. Imagine if everyone did it on TikTok or sent it. Imagine if everyone put it on their Facebook page. Imagine if everyone did a quick message about it. What happens then is our messaging starts to get out. What I think, to Lauren's point, is talking to MAGA Republicans is a complete waste of time. We're reading so many articles that are telling us that psychologically, it's nothing you say is going to matter. But we do have the ability to change the minds of other people who are sitting home. And that's why this messaging is so important, and even targeting in terms of who you're talking to, so that Black voters, we're talking about Black candidates. Well, Black voters, there may be some messaging that's more unique to this audience that we need to make sure that we're amplifying. So Lauren, what do you think about that? Because as you talk about the number of candidates.
One of the beauties of last week and the summit was the candidates room, where it got real in the candidates room. And there was a lot of talk about what you just said, Fanal, about, certain different messages have to happen in different places. And it reminded me of what Nancy Pelosi would say to her members. Obviously, she's talking about the entire country, but she would say, look, you've got to run your race, and we're not going to tell you what to say. You've got to win where you are. And I think it's the same in Virginia.
Yeah, no, it's good. And just last takeaways, in the sense of like where you said, I'm wondering if we're to this point in history too, where you do see this resistance. Virginia is really leading, and it has been leading, even though we had this loss of the governorship, in the amount of people of color on the ballot, women, just that diversity. You see that pushback. And I don't know if things have caught up with that, right? I'm glad you're in this space doing this news. I'm also though frustrated in some of these ballots that we haven't, like Trudy Berry. Also, there was a couple other folks that didn't make the ballot. We have the Jasmine case and 49.
Jasmine Lipscomb, yeah.
And there's a couple of the Trudy Berry. We have a couple, I have like 5 candidates listed here that still have not made the ballot. But it is disturbing to me, because ceding that space and then having this, paperwork issue is, I don't know what you're reporting, or what reporting are you finding out that, it seems like Republicans are getting their people on the ballot and we are struggling with paperwork. What the hell?
Something is going on with regard to not informing people properly about exactly what they have to do when they are filing for office, which is not something that someone would know off the top of their head. For whatever reason, the party is not interested in that. And then, frankly, if it wasn't for Fergie Reed Jr. sitting out in LA, I think half these people would not know exactly what they were doing with I'm talking basic paperwork questions that could probably be in a memo. In the case of Trudy Berry, there is going to be a hearing on August 15th. That was a complete F up that should never have happened, where we have the wrong email going to the wrong email address. Well, she should be on the ballot, and the party should be pushing that. For some reason, they don't seem to be. I have no idea why. I'm trying to find out why, but I find it to be.
You're the reporter, and we want to get that out. Get undercover. Come on.
I am about to put up a chart that will chart out who did not make the ballot with regard to paperwork. And there's some commonalities there with regard to who they're running against that I don't know are coincidental. They may be, but it was a combination, I think, in the case of Jasmine Lipscomb and Trudy Berry, of the unfortunate death of Clem Oliver and someone filling in for Clem Oliver who may not have known the details, in fairness. But still, I think the party has to get a lot better about telling people some basic information about exactly how to file and to assist people with that.
Yeah, I've asked, and I'm thinking we have to wrap up and get to Tammarrah because we're going to get all powered up. But I will say, if anybody can stick around in the after chat, I asked Trudy to come today and see how we can help her. And one I've heard is some fundraising so she can get some representation.
Right.
I feel like that seems like something that the party would be doing, but I think, I've learned my lesson. We just go ahead and do where we can help. So stick around for that in the after chat. I hope Trudy is here in the room. We can talk to her. And thank you, Lauren. And I know that we will have you back, if not monthly, just to catch up. And it's so super. So for now, take it away with Tammarrah.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah.
Tammarrah. So Tammarrah's coming up, and while she's coming up, let me just say a few things. She was absolutely amazing at the summit. If you did not get a chance to see and hear her, I'm really sorry for you. And I know the poem she's going to do. I saw her giving that out. A few lucky people got to get that. And so I'll say that we'll have information for Tammarrah in the chat. But can you just talk about Spark for 1 second before you launch into your poem?
All right, so Spark was the class that I created for candidates to allow them to be able to effectively connect with their constituents. As I was at the summit, I realized that we have a message, but sometimes it gets lost because we're unable to utilize brevity, utilize the actual words we need to use with the candidates to connect with them. So with Spark, I showed them how to connect with their audience and create anecdotes and quick storytelling in order to let the audience know that they are one and that they are one the same and they can connect together. So with Spark, we allow them to be, like I said, as one, and to know that they are together in this and they can have each other's vote, one in the same.
And I'll just say this, sometimes when you're learning to tell the stories,
yes,
and you can connect with yourself and others, you are amazed at how deep that can go, because we did have tears in the room. And
yes.
I just think that's important to think about how you tell a story that has that kind of effect on people.
And with the Democrats, they need to listen to each other. Did we realize that as one, if we listen to each other, we'll connect? And that's what happened in the room. That's what happened in the room.
So I see to you for the poem.
All right, so you guys, thank you so much for being here. I had the great opportunity to create the standing poem for this summit. I was actually even challenged to come back and do it again. Robin said, hey, we need you to come harder. We need you to come harder. We want the Democrats to know that we are as one. So this is the piece that I created. I actually adapted it for the time, but it's called We Are the Democrats, and this is for you. Like Rocky Balboa, I want to surround myself around some democratic, diplomatic winners who are not afraid to get knocked down and get back up again. That's us, right? And I'm scouting this Zoom room for the Democrats who got each other's back and who is a part of the most powerful power pack. Is that you? Okay, then why? Am I being told stories of tears and sadness amongst the group? Have you forgotten so soon who you are? The things you've done, the races you won, the lives you changed, the laws rearranged. This is not Mayberry, Bernie Fife. This is Fight Club, real life. And we're in a continuous fight for our rights. We fight for peace, injustices, and wars to cease. We fight for what is ours and to never relinquish power, because they are not like us. I said, we are not the same. We are Boeing 747s. They are paper airplanes. Their false narratives can never take flight, because we will fight to tell our story right. We are Democrats. We got each other's back, and we are part of the most powerful power pack. You heard that? Now we need to get to the facts. See, what you don't understand is, damn, as Catherine said, we are good. Our qualification gains impeccable. We are selfless and agents of change. We rallied around the people to stay woke, influencing individuals to exercise their rights to vote. And this is no small task. This is a big ask, but we do it for our people. And listen, this Stacey Abrams tenacity looks powerful on us. Never accepting defeat, the American people keeping them in high hopes. And the only thing the other side can do is take down notes. Catherine, let's see if they need a pen, because we're in this to win. And listen, if I haven't stated this before, I need you to understand, my fellow Democrats. If you don't remember anything else, remember this. We are the answer to the question, what does it mean to be a Democrat? We know it's not about the you or me, but the us and we. So if we can unmute and say it loud and proud, we are the Democrats.
We are the Democrats.
We are the Democrats.
We are the
Democrats.
We got each other's back.
We got each other's
back.
And we are part of the most powerful power pack.
We are
part of the most powerful power pack.
Thank you.
All yours, Catherine.
Oh, well, okay, all mine. Well, so thank you for coming and sharing that beauty. And I just love it. Because
I adapted it because in the session, which was really great because we didn't have the time, it was a talkback session. And what I really liked about it, just as Robin told me to do, I wanted to reinforce everything that we've done.
Yeah.
You understand that, like when you go back and say, damn, I am good, you will understand it. So in the session, as you notice, I had them recant what they've done. That's why I said we shouldn't hear stories like you and Fennell talked about of people crying and being sad. You guys are powerful. And just like your speaker said earlier, I put that in my notes. Louisa, I don't know, Louisa. Mm-hmm. Louisa's right. You know, you guys have to understand the power of one. It's always the power of one. If one is lacking, then the other ones need to come together. Yeah. And the title of the poem is We Are the Democrats. I'm an English teacher. So the is important. That article is important. So that is Democrats. When you put that in front of it, it makes it hella powerful. Well, so we're like gonna say, get up, speak up, and act up as if we know that we're Democrats. Like, stop being so shy. Stop acting like you don't know who you are.
I love it.
What are we doing here?
Exactly. I know. And today we are not being shy. We are raising it up. So thank you, Tammarrah. We love it. And this is what I'm going to say. We're sending this all across the country, and you're going to just book yourself throughout every indivisible group.
And I did want to speak about that. Like, I am giving sessions. So if you are a Democrat who wants to be able to utilize your voice stronger, let's say you already have a voice, but you want to make it stronger, then perhaps there, and Robbie can put my website in there. And if you say that you came from Friday Power Lunch, I'll give 15%. How about that?
Yeah, 50%. I love it. And candidates will need this too. So if you're a candidate, please contact Tammarrah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're Democrats.
Speaking of getting loud and proud and all that, I want to bring up Kelsey Lawrence from Save Samuels. It's so great to see you.
You too. Thank you.
So I want to tell the audience just real quick, the summit story about how we found you. And this is what I feel like what's so important about the grassroots and groups like ours is that your public library is under attack. You find us somehow on the internet and you reach out to us. And before you know, we get you the summit. We get you the summit, get 2 tickets, you come. And when you left, Jackie, I think, said to me, this was the most amazing weekend of my life. Yeah. And you met other people, found the kind of resources you needed. So let's just start there. Tell us first about what is happening in your town and how did you start Save Samuels?
So what is happening in our town is starting kind of in the beginning of January. So this is kind of how I've been framed. I didn't get involved until about the middle of May. Our board of supervisors had been meeting with a religious kind of group in our town that are part of a kind of a Catholic church. Mm-hmm. And they were wanting to kind of go straight to the board to defund or at least take partial funding away from our library. And our board said, you have to go through the library's process. we have kind of a, we have like a system here in place before we jump straight to funding or taking away funding. And so they decided to hold a party in the middle of May called, I believe it was Books and Beer and Babysitting, where they
babysitting.
They offered beer and babysitting, like it says, and filled out about 580 forms. This is happening in Front Royal, Virginia. And so we're a rural library, so this flooded our libraries system, and they knew it would take time to go through these things. And so then they went above us to the Board of Supervisors. And the Board of Supervisors, there was a public comment on June 6th, and it went till midnight. And they bussed people in from other suburbs of DC. And there was so much hate speech and so much anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. It was horrible. And there were things kind of done to silence our voice as a group. I created a Facebook event kind of in response as I was hearing about what was going on. So we showed up, but we're unable to kind of really show how many people supported the library and this movement. And then a week later, they voted to only give our library enough funding until September, when they would reevaluate.
Wow. So they actually have taken books out, or is it just funding at this point?
It is just funding at this point. And unfortunately, last night, our beloved library director resigned. And we're not entirely sure the circumstances surrounding that, but
I'm guessing this. I mean, this is happening. So I want people in the room, and why I really felt it was important is, one is how we can assist and help. And I think Red, Wine, and Blue got involved, and maybe they'll come out and help. What else do you need, or what else could be helpful to you from this audience listening in?
So a lot of what kind of way we communicate is through Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Save Samuels, and if you join that, we will kind of post information and events that we'll have for sure in sometime in September. And unfortunately, they don't release the agendas super, in advance. So when the library is put on there, we will be sending out kind of an all alert. Please come, please help fill this government center building and the room, so we can kind of not be silenced again.
What I've noticed, and this is kind of disturbing too, is in a lot of these cases, there is in Roanoke, if you were paying attention, they had a board meeting there. Most people spoke in the majority of people showed up were on the right side of this issue for the LGBTQ stuff and all that, but they still went the other way. And I want people to know in the room, this is happening not far from us here. So this is arrived in Virginia. A lot of us are, maybe thinking, well, it's in other places, but not really here. But it is here, and it's in your town. And that must feel like really uncomfortable to, like, this is happening right down the street, where your kids go to the library.
Yes. Yeah, it's emergency. And I mean, I think I even said this when I messaged you guys to ask for help. I was like, help, we need help.
Be a bagel in the toaster.
Oh yeah.
So,
sorry.
It was no worries. It was definitely like, it feels like an emergency.
Right.
And I mean, the vote felt like a win for them, and now this resignation. I mean, it certainly feels disheartening.
Well, we would definitely stay in touch with you. And what I want to say to people, and I feel like I wanted to elevate your story, is how meaningful it was to us, because sometimes we're doing this work and we realize how important community is, and to react and to come out and help where we can help, and realize also what we need to do is a little bigger. Peggy Blue has her hand raised, but Peggy, we would say, please stay in the after chat, because Peggy Blue is here, and I know that she wants to be of help to you guys. She's from Red, Wine, and Blue. But thank you for coming. We will stay in touch and stay in the after chat, so we can get more into it. Because I know we have the Commonwealth Attorney here, Shannon Taylor, and for now, I'll let you take that. Such a great day to be back, but
yes, it is.
I love it. Okay, bring.
So
Shannon.
yeah, I am so excited. I'm really happy to talk to Shannon. Shannon Taylor, how are you? She's
Well, as we were preparing for this and talking about like, oh, what could go wrong with Zoom since we've been doing it for 3 years? Believe me, there's always something that's going to go wrong. So I just want to say good afternoon, everybody. Shannon Taylor, Commonwealth Attorney for Henrico County. But I'm reporting to you from the Marriott in Virginia Beach that has horrible internet. And I was in a conference room because we're on a lunch break, and then was like, oh my God, everyone's going to start coming back in here. And so I've got this young man helping me out. So I'm actually in here with like the supplies for our IT people. So, hey, but the show must go on.
The
right?
show must go on, and you are here. And so that is all that matters. You're here. So I'm really, and I know everybody else is really anxious to talk to you too about what's happening with reproductive rights, and especially as it relates to some of the legal ramifications that women are finding themselves. So let's just get right into it.
Yes. So first of all, it was amazing to be invited to be a panel speaker. And I just want to thank, Network Nova and for the amazing, the Women's Summit was all the energy, everybody there, men and women, of course, being there together for the same common purpose. And I really appreciated the people who came to listen to me and my friend, Parisa Tafti, who, of course, won her primary for the Arlington Commonwealth Attorneys race. And we were able to share some of the information that we've been gathering since this time, it was May back last year with the Dobbs decision. And I think that kind of some primary takeaways is the fact that when the Supreme Court took away that constitutional protection, what resulted was chaos. We now have 50 states trying to come up with 50 different responses. And as we know, there are more states than not who are taking an opposite view of what we believe in, which is the protection of reproductive rights. And so one of the things we talked about was this idea of words. Words matter. How do you give a woman a protection if you're going to take away that right, but you leave it for the aspect of her life or health? What does that mean? And unfortunately, we've been seeing in some of those states that women were coming into the ER only to be told, you must go back because we don't think that you are, hurt enough, sick enough, your health is at risk for us to provide you care. And we know that in Virginia, the current administration wishes to impose a numeric, 15-week gestational and ban. And what we know there is that when you talk about the numbers, the reality is that in itself can still be very subjective. So the good news is with the law is that words matter. And it is also about proof. And of course, when we talk about criminal, it has to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So what are some of the things that we're trying to do to be kind of like that last blue wall, like Senator Lucas likes to talk about, to protect women's reproductive rights? And first, it is the idea that, which I'll talk a little bit more later, is the idea that we have to have control of the General Assembly. That is the number one priority. The fallback is having prosecutors like myself, along with about, I think, 12 or 15 of my other colleagues who signed on to the letter from Fair and Justice Prosecution saying, we will not prosecute and harm an individual, a woman who's making a reproductive right choice. That is her choice. That is not for us to be getting involved in with criminal prosecution. And then lastly, we talked a lot about the idea of people being brought across state lines. So if you are coming from Texas that's having a ban and you do come to Virginia for the purposes of having a procedure, how can we in Virginia protect that woman? And this is new territory, of course. All of this is kind of new territory. But we did talk about whether or not we could make these constitutional arguments that these laws that are being passed in these other states do not pass due process, does not pass constitutional muster, so to speak. And do prosecutors have an opportunity at that extradition stage to make an argument and on behalf of the Constitution, or a lawyer to say, hey, my person can't go, Shannon cannot be taken back to Texas because this law is unconstitutional. So we know that there's some things we can do definitely that will protect, and then also making commitment moving forward. Because really, regardless of party affiliation, a lawyer's ethical obligation is to the Constitution first and foremost. And so that is why I'm very proud that I was speaking on behalf of my other colleagues to say, we will not do that, certainly not in Henrico County, and to the extent that I can make sure, not in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Well, we are so happy to have you. And I'm so glad that you boiled this down into, at least in my mind, 3 easy pieces, which is words matter, because folks will say, oh, 15 weeks, that ought to be reasonable. And you really sort of, synthesize that to understand, no, that doesn't work. And the work that you guys are going to do, and then also making sure that people understand their constitutional rights. And I think we got a story to tell, a big story.
Yes, absolutely. If I can elaborate on that must win, I know that Robin, we talked about our Henrico PAC, right? We've got a lot of stuff happening, and I know that we all kind of feel like we're the epicenter, but I'm going to say, I really do think that Henrico County, after we had our success in our primaries with La Charisse Aird and Destiny Bowling and Lamont Bagby in the east end of our county, because we're like a little horseshoe, in the west end, it is game on. And we have, my dear friend, Rodney Willett in his new 58th has a Republican opponent, as does Susanna Gibson, who won her Democratic primary for the 57th, and she has a Republican opponent in the fall. And then, of course, what we know is important for that state Senate wall, blue wall, is Schuyler Van Valkenburg challenging, an incumbent, Donovan, there for the 16th. And I cannot emphasize how important those 3 races are to 100% hold the Senate, and better yet, try to take back the House. So I know that we're all out here advocating for our different groups and our different candidates, but I do want to make a plug for how important Henrico County is for the General Assembly races in November.
I agree. And I love it. I think you're absolutely right. And one thing too, Shannon, is how important that these abortion rights and reproductive rights are on the ballot. And we have to make sure voters understand that. And we know that this and other races, and we see Ohio right now, Ohio's Tuesday ballot race will really determine what's going to happen in that state. And what we've seen, when voters get wind of what's happening, they will vote in our favor or come out in numbers. So I think, hopefully what I'm hoping we will see is voter education, voter outreach. This is just going to be the way we win. And we have Henrico, and you have the biggest advocate with Stare. She's from the beginning, big H. So it's true though. And I know up here with the primary race that we had, it was really important. And I was worried about who was running against Steve Toscano. What it is that I didn't feel safe with if the other guy would really protect rights when it came down to it. So that's where I weighed in on that. So I appreciate what you're doing in general.
I see. I know that Robin asked a question about, some of us along the Commonwealth also have local races, and that is definitely true in Henrico. And I know that there was talk at the summit about, advocating and how many flyers we're going to give. Well, in Henrico, we have 3 constitutional officers, and we have 3 board of supervisor races. And what you all may or may not know for Henrico, I am, of course, the countywide Democrat. And I see Eileen Davis there, but we have a Republican controlled board of supervisors. And we have one race where we had the retirement of Pat O'Bannon. And so that is really wide open. So versus in the other race in 3 Chopped, Misty Whitehead running against an incumbent there. And I think that, we're definitely going to have a Dem in Fairfield, but that Tuckahoe Board of Supervisor race is really going to be the game changer of local government in Henrico County. Yeah. Misty's got a good fight on her hands too for 3 Chopped. But when you're looking at school board members, we have a Moms for Liberty candidate running in the 3 Chopped school board district. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. And this young man, Madison Irving, he's running as school board. So we definitely have some other local races that are just important. But again, I'm hoping it's the GA momentum, and we will not have ballot fatigue in Henrico, and we will have our GA momentum, make sure that we have all the right Democrats from the top to the bottom being elected in November for Henrico.
Yeah, that I agree. And let's just end on that. And I want to say that, yes, I am excited actually to start really getting out and hitting the doors. And I know that there is going to be a lot of action down there. So thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. Because one thing for now we know is that local races are where it's at. And, this is where government, as David Pepper has taught us and talked about, it's where Republicans have really focused on to take over states, because this is, again, like you look at Ohio, that predicament, we do not want that in Virginia. So let's get up, speak up, and act up. And act up. Act up. I'm all about acting up. That's how
good trouble.
Good trouble. I'm all about good trouble. So thank you for now. And let's end up the show and wrap up to After Chat. I want to thank everybody for being here, and it feels so good to be back with you all. I know that this next couple months, there's going to be just a lot of action going on, and I'm excited for that. So again, if you like what you saw today and want to keep it happening, please support our show, $5, $10, $25 a month. Thank you for those that do. And also subscribe to our social media. We have such great content. We'll have more content. Wouldn't you want to just click on our YouTube channel? And it's awesome. We will have all this stuff, and we're even doing reels now, which is great. And then also the email recap. There's a lot of work Robin puts in and Stara puts into this recap, so you can just sit there and not worry. It will come to you in an email, and all the links and all the good information will be there. And also make sure you stay for the after chat. Thank you to this awesome team of people: Fennell Norton, Robin Warner, Stara Calhoun up there, Ambassador of Buzz, Heidi Dragneff. Hope that bagel's ready. I heard about it coming out of the toaster, Heidi. Dennis Orsinger, Michelle McKinney, Laura Martinez, and our content concierge. Special thank you to Julie Galdo. She was at the summit, sat at the registration, and helped us all weekend long, as well as Elvina McKell, Sally Renholt. And thank you so much. And next week, we have a great show. We will be doing Power Packs probably throughout the whole summer. And we'll see you on the other side. Get up, speak up, act up.